Welcome. My name is Penny Rosema, and you are listening to the Cookware Manufacturers Association podcast. We are here to keep our members informed. And in this interview, we welcome Lisa Yakas, a senior project manager with NSF International. Now, that's not to be confused with the National Science Foundation, but we'll talk more about what NSF International is through this interview. Welcome, Lisa. Thanks for joining our call today.
Thank you, Penny. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited. Now, because our listeners may not be familiar with NSF as an organization and what the NSF certification is, let's start with those two questions. Can you give us a little background?
Certainly. Yes, NSF International, we are a global public health and safety organization that has developed safety and sanitation standards, and we've certified products for the past 75 years. Almost all of the products that carry NSF certification bear an NSF mark, which you've probably seen before. This is a trusted NSF mark that can be found on millions of consumer, commercial, industrial products, things including bottled water, dietary supplements, food equipment, home water treatment products, home appliances, plumbing and faucets, and even pool and spa components. And what this mark is, it's your assurance that the product has been tested by one of the most respected independent certification companies. So choosing a product certified by NSF lets you as the consumer know that the company complies with strict standards and procedures. And from extensive product testing and material analyses to unannounced plant inspections, every aspect of the product's development is thoroughly evaluated before it can earn certification.
And I didn't hear you mention specifically cookware or bakeware in there, but I do, from our previous conversations, there are cookware and bakeware manufacturers that do have NSF certification. Am I correct?
That is correct. Yep. And we'll talk a little bit more about the differences in food equipment and home product certification.
Perfect. But let's go back to the kinds of products that earn certification. Can you explore that a little bit more?
Sure. So from verification of claims, like you might have heard of gluten-free or non-GMO and raised without antibiotics, all the way to certification of products like dietary supplements, bottled water, drinking water filters, and home cleaning products, NSF tests and certifies more than 30,000 products a year. And our experts also conduct more than 220,000 audits and inspections of manufacturing facilities all across the world. CMA members might be interested to know that NSF certification applies, as we talked about, to home product and food equipment programs. The NSF home product certification encompasses products purchased by consumers for home use, like you said, cookware, we have blenders, toasters, a whole array of different protocols. And NSF food equipment certification applies to products that are used in more commercial food service establishments, such as ice makers, ovens, refrigerators, and warewashing machines.
Very interesting. All right, so I want you to explain a little bit more about the main purpose of certification, and then just tell us how NSF home products and the food equipment certifications, how this works. Explain that a little bit more, would you, and the purpose?
Yeah, sure. I can see where it could be a little bit confusing, but as we focus on home product certification, the product must be accurately labeled, it must perform as claimed, and it must demonstrate durability and quality. Certification requirements for this program are aligned with NSF protocols and certification policies.
And so just to clarify, that is for the home products.
Yes, that is for home product certification.
Got it.
Yep. So then when we look on the food equipment side, for food equipment certification, the equipment must meet minimum food protection and sanitation requirements for things like materials, design and construction, and performance as it's required by U.S. Public Health Code. And so those certification requirements are aligned to NSF ANSI standards, and they're used in conjunction with those NSF certification policies. So just as a little bit of a definition, home product certification are aligned with protocols.
Got it.
And food equipment certification is aligned with standards, NSF ANSI standards.
That does help clarify it. So let's dive a little bit deeper into that certification requirements, first of all, for food equipment.
Right. So NSF International, we have a group of standards for food equipment. And like we said, this establishes minimum food protection and sanitation requirements for materials, design and construction, some performance, things like that. So for example, NSF ANSI standard number 2 covers equipment such as tables, dinnerware, cookware, hoods, shelves, and even sinks.
Okay.
NSF food equipment standards include requirements for material safety to ensure that the product will not impart any harmful chemicals into a food. We're looking at the design and construction, like we said. We want to ensure that the product is cleanable and is not likely to harbor any bacteria or vermin. And we also want to make sure that it performs as it's supposed to perform, and it ensures safe food handling.
Very interesting. Now, when we talk about the cookware requirements for home use, can you tell me more about that category?
Sure. So as we mentioned earlier, the home product certification follows protocols, and the particular protocol that pertains to cookware is Protocol P390.
Okay.
And it establishes the minimum food protection and safety requirements for the materials, design, construction for stovetop cookware for home use. So this protocol encompasses test methods for metal cookware, saute pans, skillets, griddles, grill pans, and non-stick cookware that is intended for stovetop applications. So all the products that fall under this protocol that are intended for home use, they need to comply or pass 4 key components within the protocol. So the number one component we're looking for are physical characteristics. So we're looking at things like size and dimension, volume, capacity, and workmanship. And the product is also examined to make sure there aren't any sharp edges or points. Number 2, we're looking at performance tests. So this includes things like tilt resistance, cleanability, handle fatigue, dishwasher durability. We're also looking for things like corrosion resistance and resistance to things like heat, acid, stains, or abrasion. The third key component is packaging and labeling. So we do a complete review, and this ensures that the description and the quantity and the usage directions and all of the labels and disclaimer statements, also the lot number, the expiration date if applicable, and label claims are all accurate, and they all follow the applicable regulations. And then finally, the fourth key component is an in-use material evaluation. So what we do is we use that product and we use some food simulants, and we expose it in an in-use type of situation. And then we take those food simulants, which are acetic acid and ethanol, and we analyze those for heavy metals, phthalate, BPA, and an overall migration, just to make sure that nothing is leaching out of the product into the food simulant.
Nice extensive testing. Now, if you're a manufacturer, how do you decide what certification to pursue? Home products or food equipment? Or do we even ask that question? Is that something that's assigned by NSF?
No, that's a great question. It's something that we certainly want to talk with manufacturers about. So certification to either ANSI Standard 2 for food equipment or to NSF Protocol P390 is really determined based on the target audience of the product.
Okay.
So if the product is meant to be used in a home cooking environment, or is it going to be used for a professional chef? So if it's a home use environment, we would go with Protocol P390. And if it's a commercial kitchen, we would go with the commercial food equipment. However, there are some products that are intended to be used by both audiences. And in that case, they can acquire both certifications, and they can also carry both of the marks on the same product.
On the same product. Because I know we have some members that produce for the commercial industry, and we have, and some that do both, and some that just are for home use. So they have the option of pursuing both and putting both marks on their packaging if they pass.
Correct. Yep.
Very, very interesting. talk a little bit about why third-party certification is important. And let's talk about it both from the consumer's viewpoint and from the manufacturers, if you don't mind.
Sure. So we at NSF recently conducted a study, and we found that Americans trust claims that are tested and certified by independent organizations more than claims that are made by product manufacturers and the brands alone. These findings suggest that the self-declared claims made by brands and manufacturers without any independent verification may contribute to consumer confusion and maybe a little bit of mistrust. Our survey found that 61% of Americans are concerned about the products they put in, on, and around their bodies. However, 34% say they never or hardly ever reach or research product claims. And this shows that many consumers have questions and concerns about the safety and authenticity of their products that they buy, but they don't necessarily know who to trust or where to turn for an honest answer. So at NSF, we feel that an independent third-party certification is the easiest way for consumers to check the safety and authenticity of products and the validity of the product label claims. So when consumers see that NSF mark on a package, they can feel confident and sure that the product has gone through an extensive testing process and review for potential health and safety risks, as well as the accuracy of those label claims.
And then part of that benefit back to the manufacturer would be confidence in the manufacturer or the brand name for which the consumers are purchasing their products. They have a chance to look at someone that's an independent tester.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Now, if I am a manufacturer and I'm interested in getting my product certified, where do they go for more information?
They can certainly contact me, Lisa Yakas, at lyakas@nsf.org. They can also check us out online at nsf.org and search under the drop-down menu under services by industry or by product type.
Excellent. And we will include those links in our show notes. So anybody listening and they're on the road driving, you can log into cookware.org. If you're listening to this podcast on iTunes or Stitcher or Google Play, the same information is available at our cookware.org site. We have a podcast link. And then from that link, you can see the show notes as well as we'll have a transcription of our conversation online as well. Lisa, I want to thank you for taking time to share information with us today about NSF International and a great deal of information here. And I'm guessing that you might get some phone call or actually some emails or some contact information from people.
Well, thank you, Penny. Thank you so much. Thanks for spending your time with me and allowing me to come on with this podcast with you. I appreciate it.
Oh, we love it. And I want to remind our listeners, again, that you can get more information about NSF International at nsf.org. If you have questions or topics you'd like to suggest to us for future interviews, let us know. You can go on to cookware.org, and my email is there, but it is prosema, ROSEMA, at cookware.org. And then just reminding our listeners, our association is a proven valuable resource to both members, suppliers, and retailers. We maintain and update the engineering standards for the production of cookware and bakeware. And we would provide statistical reporting and resources and information for the retailers on cookware training guides and a number of different learning tools. All that's available on cookware.org. So we appreciate Lisa's time in the interview, and especially to our listeners, if you have any questions, reach out to us. We look forward to hearing from you, and we thank you for joining us today. Enjoy the day.